Isabella Breda, the editor-in-chief of The Echo. This week, we are launching the first Echo podcast. This is to keep you up to date with the latest on-campus news while we're learning remotely. Today, I'm joined by Sam.
So my name is Samantha Hostetter. I go by Sam, and I am a junior at Cal Lu. My major is communications with an emphasis in journalism, and then I also have a minor in political science. This is my first year my first semester, of being a journalist on The Echo, and I'm really, really excited to be a part of the team.
Yeah, so Sam got the opportunity to chat with Cal Lutheran's new president this week. Sam, can you tell me a little bit about how that went?
Yeah, so we had our interview this past Tuesday, and we honestly spoke for, I think, like 45 or 50 minutes during the interview, because we just kind of got into a very conversational style interview. She's super easy to talk to, very friendly. She elaborates a lot within the questions I would ask her that I had already jotted down before we went into the interview. So that was really nice, was getting really lengthy answers from her to use for my article. And overall, I just think she's a great fit for the Cal Lutheran community. And that's definitely what I got from my interview with her.
And so when you're thinking of a president for Cal Lutheran, I guess, what are the main values you'd look for, and does she meet those?
I think so. I definitely think she meets them. And here's why I think so. And I'll kind of go into why I think that. So during our interview, which was exemplified through how she answered my questions, she wouldn't just say, "Oh, I think this is a good idea," or, "Oh, yes, we need more diversity and inclusion on our campus, and we need to be more aware of those kind of things." She would give me examples from what she did during her last presidency at her last university. So I think her just being really transparent with not just saying things, but also giving me action examples and being an advocate for action over just conversation was a super big thing to me, because it's one thing to say you're going to do something, it's another thing to execute it. And I think that she really does a great job at that. And I feel like the Cal Lutheran community really needs a president who is going to be transparent, take action, and follow through with what they say, because that, I think, is the principle of the university and just serves the student body as well as the faculty, and kind of makes everything run really well.
There was a lot of talk about how the campus really emphasizes its culture of nice, but that the culture of nice sometimes gets in the way of allowing people to be honest with each other, and again, to share difference of opinion or to bring conflict to the forefront. So I think that the search committee really wanted somebody that was a direct communicator, someone that was transparent, someone that understood that consensus is built and sometimes in slow processes. But in order for it to be embraced by everyone, we need to allow different types of voices with different values and ideologies to be heard.
When I talked to an individual from her other university, Dr. Akuma, she touched on the fact that the same thing kind of resonated with her, as far as like the action of going about things and just holding tight to the values and the mission of her old school. And that was something she also described to me in our interview on Tuesday, was that she really wants to bring forward the Lutheran identity as well as the Cal Lutheran mission statement into each piece of work that she does. And so that to me stood out a lot.
I think that an important role for me to play as the president of Cal Lutheran, how do we combine and integrate our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion with our Lutheran identity? So while I'm not a Lutheran, I am a very strong believer in the divine and in God the Almighty, and I really want to integrate the best parts of the Cal Lutheran mission and the values of the ELCA, the Evangelical Lutheran Church of America, has a wonderful set of values that I think, excitingly, from my perspective, align very well with DEI issues. So how can we bring Lutheran values like grace and generosity and inclusivity to the forefront of the way we are talking about and defining and setting goals around DEI. So we need to take the DEI initiatives and efforts very seriously, but we need to do it within the framework of who we are at Cal Lutherans.
The other thing that I asked her about, and something that stood out to me, is she loves to connect with the student bodies. So like every single day, she told me she usually goes and walks around and talks to people. And she's trying to do really small things like plan some hikes up to the CLU rocks and have some students take her around campus so she can see their favorite spots. And so she's really trying to be active right now in the Cal community right off the bat, even given the circumstances. And at her old school, when I interviewed Dr. Atuma, she told me how she used to host like game nights at her house every week, or she would do like dinner with the president at her own house. And so she was super, super active and involved at her old campus. And I think that here at Cal Lutheran, she's going to bring a very involved spotlight to the presidency, not just a person who's kind of on this platform, but somebody who's just like you and me, who wants the best for the Cal community and the students. And that was exemplified through her interview as well as the other people that I interviewed.
I'm not at all shy about going up and introducing myself to students, and the few students that I saw outside on this blistering hot day were eager to engage me in a short conversation and kind of chat with me a little bit about why they wanted to come back to campus and what they were doing during the early fall semester. So those informal meet and greets are really important. I'm hoping that I can continue to work with the student affairs staff to maintain some of the great traditions that we have at Cal, like painting the rocks and again doing some drive-in movie nights, etc., where I don't want to be 100% in student space. I know that you all want your space without adults, particularly the president around. But on the other hand, I want to be seen as I was at Hiram, as being approachable and being accessible to students.
Right. And when you mention that she's mentioned all these action steps that she'd been taking in her past position as president, what were those like, and how did she follow through with those?
So she described to me how when she became president, she kind of just hit the ground running. Her main goal was to kind of get the school out of the debt that it was in. The old school was having a lot of problems with fundraising and creating different things for the student body. And she described how they were able to try different directions of fundraising, and they actually have like surpassed all the goals every single year since. They actually do a program where they allow their students to take free summer school courses over the summer. So every student attending Hiram University at the University of Ohio gets to take 2 free summer classes as long as they're an enrolled student at Hiram. And so that was something that she coined and she's super proud of, because before, students would have to pay out of pocket to do these kind of things. They also have a lot of unique internship opportunities at the school that she helped develop, and students can make up to $3,000 every summer doing an internship through the school. So it's a really awesome opportunity, and it connects the community back even during the summer. She also talked about, I believe she talked about opening the Center for Diversity and Inclusion at her school. She was the one who opened that center.
Wow.
And so that's something that's really important to her, coming to Cal Lutheran, knowing our history, knowing the culture on campus, knowing what's happened in our past during her the presidential search and like what they were made aware of. And so she really, really wants to continue that legacy for opening those doors for conversations about it. And she just described to me different things that she did at her campus that kind of would be, I guess, transitioned over to Cal Lutheran in the Cal Lutheran way. And some of those things include just really following through with the mission statement. I know the Cal Lutheran community recently got her email that she's going to send an email every 2 weeks to update them, and she's just very in touch with the community. She also developed this program called Tech and Trek, where every single student at Hiram University got a Apple iPad and a pair of hiking boots.
Oh my gosh.
And so the goal of that was to connect everyone with the outside while being able to have a technological piece of equipment to use in the classroom or out of the classroom, and just kind of make sure her students were really taken care of. So she kind of went behind the scenes and did the fundraising for that and made it all happen. So she's just done a lot of great things in her career thus far that I believe are going to really push Cal Lutheran in the direction that I think everybody wants to see. And I think we couldn't have really selected a better candidate and president for this position.
Yeah, and so coming into this position during this time, did she seem to still have a sort of positive attitude and was really driven toward these goals?
Yeah, so one of the things she asked me, which was interesting because she started asking me questions, which made the interview more conversational style, was if I was living on campus or if I was living at home. And I told her I was living at home because of a situation with my residence hall that I'd be living in didn't kind of work out because of the pandemic. And she still said, she's like, I would love to bring students back as much as we can to Cal Lutheran, because to her, she wants to have everyone at school. She wants to have the opportunity to meet them, even socially distanced. And she had a very positive attitude and a positive mindset as far as not that she just hopes to, like she plans to bring us back as soon as she can, because I think in her mission for the Cal Lutheran community, she wants to see us stay connected to the campus. And I kind of described how at home I feel a little bit distant. And I mean, I know I'm at school, but it's kind of different when I'm taking classes in my living room or in my bedroom. And so she really wants to instill different ways to connect with the Cal Lutheran campus while being digital and while being virtual. And she has a very positive attitude given the circumstances.
Yeah. And so when you mentioned that she was made aware of our history at the school and the campus climate in general, I guess what sorts of specific things did she speak on that she wants to address?
So we talked about what had happened with the different racist incidents. And one of my questions to her was the search committee, did they make the candidates for the open position, aware of what had happened on campus and kind of the climate? And she told me, yes, they were transparent. They didn't really use the verbiage as far as like what, when, and how everything kind of occurred. But she on her own did hours of research about what had happened. She was reading news articles, she was checking social media sites, and she was doing her due diligence as a president to kind of come in and say, you know what, I'm going to think like a president. I'm going to go into my interviews and stuff and know kind of where the student body mindset is. And I think that was really important for me to hear, because as a student, first and foremost, it's important for me to know that somebody who was applying for this position was doing their research on what was currently happening on campus, not just kind of like, oh, what's Cal about? Oh, blah, blah, blah. Like she was doing like real-time, real research. And I think she really educated herself and kept herself informed for those conversations if she was selected, and she was selected. And so she told me that in our interview, she plans to do different things as far as just keeping everyone aware and informed and bringing light to these situations. She discussed in the interview that she likes to take action over just speaking about things. And she right now is even coming up with ideas and plans to implement to share with the Kalamazoo community of how she's going to continue her work with diversity, equity, and inclusion. And she plans to be very transparent about those things. And I think that's why she released that email yesterday about, giving us a heads up email every 2 times a month. And so I think we're going to kind of see those plans come into play.
My path has been paid forward by a lot of the administrators, the other 7 presidents and administrative teams that come before me, and I respect that work. But I also hope that there's, again, a generosity and an openness. How are we going to learn to live and study and really love together? Like I believe that love is another important ingredient in a college community that's not often talked about at large universities and public schools. And while there's some hurt at Cal Lutheran, so I don't want to sound like a Pollyanna, I would like our early work in DEI to be around constructing things and building things and talking and coming together, as opposed to, absenting or, as opposed to striking, etc. I think if our first early efforts can be around early wins that we do together, we build and create in a space of openness and hearing each other, I think that might be, again, a more productive place to start And I'm hoping that we can start some of those efforts in very short order.
I fully trust her ability to execute different things that are going to kind of come up and handle things based off of the type of genuine person that she is. And that's kind of what I got in the interview.
That's great. Yeah, well, we're super excited to have you on our team, Sam, and I guess we'll look forward and see what the president does through the rest of the school year.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.